Is this even? I don't know. Oh, 3 concurrent viewers. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, it's very late. YouTube dashboard isn't really working. But what I'm trying to do is code for a little bit after a very long day. And yeah, just working on OneMenu and trying to explain what I'm doing, 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 what. All right, I really hope that glitch was resolved now on YouTube. Sorry, I'm new to streaming and there's always some issue with YouTube. Anyhow, let me try to find the chat because it's not opening. Give me a second. How can I open the chat? Wait, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing right now, and this is supposed to be the chat, but it's just like YouTube is having a really good day. What am I supposed to do now? Stream settings. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna try and refresh a couple more times. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Nope. Let's see. Manage. Yeah, let's try that. How can I find a solution to this? Come on. I really want to be able to read the chat. I'm sorry guys, but that's my main thing here. The only way I can see what you guys are asking and hopefully respond to your questions. So let's see if it will work in Chrome. Yes, okay. Chrome works. Here's the chat. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Welcome everybody. Sorry for this. Safari doesn't play well with the chat. Let's see, some of your users, a smaller screen. Yes, I will increase the font size, and I will increase the font size of the chat as well. Thank you for that suggestion. I hope now it works better. Let's see, questions. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Hello. I'm really glad to be back at it as well. Srećan petak. Kalispera. Let's see. Why is this clicking all the time? What's your process to find ideas for new projects? I will make a video about that. And I've changed my process quite a bit, but the way I like to find ideas right now is that basically I try to put my own spin on some existing products that I actually use. Not something hypothetical or some, I don't know, crazy, complicated idea. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. So what I'm working on is, I'm just gonna paste the link in the chat for reference. Yep, let me just find the link for you guys. All right, so here's the app that I'm making. Right now I'm working on the new version, which has, among other features, a clipboard history. And so here's the quick demo of that feature, if I can get it to work. Let's see what's going to happen. 2024 setup tour. I will make a tour, but not much has changed. All right, let's see. If I open up OneMenu here, in the preferences, on the last stream, I was working on the key bindings feature. And so here, I was making some changes to the way the key bindings can be defined for different sections of the app. But what I forgot to do is add essentially a scroll view. So that's the first thing. I'm just gonna add a scroll view quickly. Not here, but here. Or maybe, a scroll view is by default a VStack, right? So I can just replace this one and then it should work. I think so. And then the next thing is, so what I'm working on here is, let me just show you. So I have the window manager, the new version, for those of you who don't know. The new version of the window manager has a customizable set of areas that you can snap to when you're dragging windows or using the keyboard shortcuts. And here you can customize the keyboard shortcut for each area individually. But I do want to have a page in the settings where you can customize all of them, or at least see all of them and then try to customize. So this is needed for other features of the app as well. But here, I'm trying to list all of the areas that you have defined in your custom layouts as the first section here. So I'm just going through every single area. And then here, I'm just going to do area. I think it's keyboard shortcut. But I think this needs to be a binding. Or maybe like this. I'm not really sure. Can you even do that? What is this supposed to be? It's supposed to be a binding. Yeah. So why am I not able to do this? I'm still very new to Swift, and I'm still kind of guessing my way through stuff. So cannot convert value. Oh, it's because the area can have an optional keyboard shortcut, whereas the keyboard binding field requires a shortcut. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to create a binding here of keyboard shortcut definition. How do you create this? Is it like get set? Binding in. Yeah, that's what it does. Area keyboard shortcut. Or, well, actually I do want to allow, like, for instance, there's a difference here. For certain things, the keyboard shortcuts are required, but for window areas, they're not. So I do want to allow that. But for now, before I even go into that, I should then change. Let me just pick another one that I know for sure exists. So let me just read the comments for now. I see that you guys are Apple building this native. I was thinking about you when you say it. Yeah, so the native feature, so the native feature is going to be what is now in production for me as well, like the most basic version. But if you really want to customize your experience, I didn't really see Apple allowing you to do so. And for power users like me, that's not going to be enough. So that's why I'm building this. And I've been building it for a long time. It's just I wasn't really posting many videos recently. And the reason I haven't is because I'm a dad now and I have a 6-month-old baby. And, you know, life has a lot of new obligations. Okay, so let me just see. Yeah, am I losing my mind? Yeah, some of my vlogs are missing because I had to delete them, especially the ones from the office, because the company policy changed about filming from the office. And, you know, tighter security rules, the company's getting more serious, larger, and that's fine. Why not make a video on Ruby on Rails? Yes, my experience with Ruby on Rails is quite outdated at this point. I used it like 6 years ago. Probably it's in a much better state right now, but my overall idea with Ruby on Rails is that it's very quick to get started, but then it gets very difficult to build large apps because there is a lot of magic, and things just become very non-obvious in the way they work. And at some point you discover that if you're building like a large app, you prefer things to be more explicitly defined. Like I would want to have a place in the code that defines the exact behavior that's going to happen, rather than some blog post about some opinion from DHH on how things should work. So that's my opinion on Ruby on Rails. What's up from Brazil? Yeah, we use Kahoot in our university. I hope the reports are working. I made reports. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna click escape. Why don't you use Raycast? It has everything you need, like window manager, Clipboard history, performance monitor, and much more. What are your thoughts? I like Raycast. I think it's a great app. But there are a couple of things that I don't like about it. First of all, I think it's bloated. It has way too many features that I don't need. Just when you start it up, it uses several hundred megabytes of RAM. The download itself is like 100 megabytes. Whereas the app that I'm building, when it's just idling and doing nothing, it uses about 60 megabytes of RAM. which is on the high end. Usually if I just restart it and use no features at all, and if I don't use it at all, it's going to use like 30. And the download itself is like 2 megabytes, 2.5 megabytes. So I prefer to have a minimal app that doesn't really depend on third-party plugins to implement every single feature. Sort of like a leaner approach. And I appreciate what Raycast does, but for me, I never really used any of the plugins. Like, I'm not really a Jira enthusiast. I don't have my API integration with Slack. Like, it looks really cool in the demos, but I don't really create more than like 2 Jira tickets a day. And so I don't need the keyboard shortcuts for that. And so if I just remove all of the features that come with the plugins, what I want is a native app that does that with like 1/10 of resource consumption. So that's kind of my idea and why I'm building OneMenu. But for sure, for certain segments of users, Raycast is a better choice. All right. But I have way more to say about Raycast, and specifically comparing my like business model to business model. But maybe I'm gonna make a video about that in the future. Like, what I don't like about Raycast is that they are monetizing heavily the pro features through AI. And I think I really am not a big fan of AI just randomly having access to my computer, especially if I can't use my own API key with OpenAI and stuff like that. It's a little bit in the gray area, and I'm not a big fan of that. All right. Greetings from Colombia. Greetings. Greetings from France. Thank you so much. Greetings from Austria. Been wanting to learn Swift. I don't know. Just at this point, I keep asking ChatGPT for random questions. Thank you. So the question is, do you really think about Tmux or NeoVim at all? No. I think like what I found in my experience coding for like 10 years, the typing speed has never been the true limitation. It's more like how fast I can think, and I think way slower than I type even on a phone. So that just, I'm not gonna gain anything from switching to a faster typing experience. Okay, let's see. Congratulations, thank you. Yes, I have seen it. I already explained it. I don't want to repeat myself. Some people are gonna get frustrated. Yeah, if you can come to Norway, we can hang out. Let's see. Yes, I'm using the Logitech Master MX3. Okay. Thank you. All right, my boy in the chat. This guy here is special. Remember this name. All right. And you can also ask him about our mutual Ruby on Rails experience. I had a daughter. It's very hard to record the entire day if you have a baby to care about. Okay. Let's see what is happening here. So can I even... Yes, so here's the clipboard history, by the way. So if I copy something here, it will appear. And then if I copy something here, it will appear, and it will give me a couple of options to like paste this plain text or paste the original thing and so on. And so, yeah, this is like fully native. There's no React working in the background. There's no node process rendering Swift UI views through some React reconciler. And yeah, the result of that is just a much leaner, cleaner code base that I can maintain myself. So this is the new feature that I'm working on, but to implement that feature in the preferences, there's a lot of key bindings. So here with the scroll view, you can see the window manager is there, but then I have the custom bindings for selection, and those are the ones that I'm using to just navigate the clipboard history here. And then toggling the clipboard history, Command-Shift-V, and then pasting original and pasting plain text. So I have a question for you guys, if anyone can be bothered to answer. With the clipboard history, is there anything else that we want to potentially paste that is not plain text? Like, for example, when I copy paste something, I can paste the original thing, or I can paste the plain text version. Is there a third, some variant? I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah. All right. What are we going to... Okay, so no questions. So yeah, kind of like Power Toys for the Mac. Yeah, good analogy. I'm not sure if Power Toys is it built by Microsoft? I'm not sure, but something like Power Toys. Photo paste. Photo paste works already. So if I make let me just show you. So if I just make a screenshot here and I save it to the clipboard, it's already there, but the default like paste original action kind of covers the paste photo. So yeah. Video paste. Video paste, it works like files. So essentially, if you copy a file, what macOS actually does, it just puts the path, the URL of the file in your clipboard. And when you paste a URL into a Finder window, it will do a copy. So videos work by default. I don't have to do anything about it. It's just a default paste. Yeah, kind of it does. Yes, it will be saved. Let me see. Yeah, is it really coming, the clipboard history? That would be awesome. Like, remember guys, this is just a hobby project. Like, I'm not trying to compete with iOS. I'm just building something that I like. If you want to go to previous copy text, you need to click down button twice. Maybe you could add something like tab switching for... Oh yeah, so if I have... Yeah, so that's a good catch. So basically, you're not going through the items in your history, you're going through the actions on the items. So this item has two actions, paste and paste original. But if I go one up, I will go to the paste plain text of the previous item, and then I will go to paste. And then if I go one up, I will go to the paste of that item. So if every item has only one action, then it's just going to be one tap. Yeah, so this is in a GitHub repo, but it's private. I'm not sure if I want to make it open source. That's because I'm collecting your data. It's a keylogger. Let's see. A screenshot of screen or part of it. Yeah, I may add like a screen grab feature. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see. With the window, I need to make some progress. I will answer more questions. So with the window manager, if you open the preferences for the window manager and custom layouts, you don't really have to have a keyboard shortcut for a window area. And the reason is because you can use the mouse to snap. So I'm going to show you. So the full screen one currently has a keyboard shortcut of Control Alt up arrow. And so if I take this window and I drag it all the way up, it will snap. But if I remove, and I can also press Control Alt up and it will snap. But if I remove the keyboard shortcut, I can still use the mouse. So window areas, technically they don't have to have a keyboard shortcut. So if I go into keyboard bindings, the problem I created for myself here is that in this view, I created a keyboard binding field, which is essentially one row, like one of these, and it has a label and the recording component, the component that records your keyboard shortcut. So the problem I have is that for that I made the shortcut like mandatory. So what I need to do is I need to update it. So I need to go here and just say, so here I'm going to say optional. And then, yeah, I think it's going to complain. Yeah, it is going to complain because that's fine. So I'm going to create two bindings actually, optional shortcut. And required. Yeah, so the required one is going to be, no, I can't do that either. I can't do that. No, how can I do this? One of them is required, one of them is not. Do I really need to make like a version of this that is just a required binding field? That would be so annoying. Let's discard this change components. So here I'm going to call this one required. Yeah. No, first things first. I'm going to comment this out, and then I'm going to call this one required keyboard binding field. And then this one is going to be just a keyboard binding field. So all of these guys became required binding field, but this one is just going to be keyboard binding field. And then I'm going to rename that one to optional. I think that's the easiest. I could extract this logic into like a separate one, probably. Yeah, I could definitely do that. But for now, here the shortcut here needs to be optional. So then I will just do area, and then it's going to be, why am I not, can I not do this? Like, what's the problem? Oh man, this is always so annoying. Do I need to call this one differently? So this one can be area keyboard binding field, and then instead of shortcut I'm gonna pass area. Yeah, and then here area.shortcut. Cannot as binding subject to expect the argument. Wait a minute. I don't need to pass the label. I can just pass the area. That's going to be better. And then here I'm going to do that. And then here. let's see, maybe add a code highlighting syntax. It would make it more pleasant. Yeah, I could potentially add that in the future. Value of type has no dynamic member shortcut using dpath from root type. Is this some kind of a Xcode caching bug? Let's see. Existing shortcut area dot keyboard shortcut. Fine. Yes. Yeah. Now we're doing well. And then here cannot find area in scope. So you are saying that I'm not able to bind Oh, okay. All right. So how do you do that? How do you bind? How do you create a binding? Is it something like this? I guess this could work. Let's see. Yeah, what happened to the email client project? It is on pause. The reason is I really want to work on one thing at a time until I finish them. And then, you know, hopefully I can have more focus on each and you know, create a better product overall. I am from Serbia. You know, honestly, I just use the default theme. I'm boring. I don't really pay too much attention. Yeah, okay, keyboard shortcut label is not needed. That's a good point. But at least I want to finish the things that I planned already. I certainly have been talking about some of these ideas for a long time, and I just want to get them done before I move on to something else. Because I have, well, let me just reduce the volume here. Is it too loud? No, it's just too loud on my end. Yeah, okay. So I have the opposite problem where I tend to work on too many things, and I just want to fix that. All right, so here we can see all of the keyword shortcuts for all of the areas listed, which is great. And hopefully I can change this one to something else, potentially, I don't know, Control Alt, I don't know why. Yeah, it changes, and then if I go back, it doesn't save. Oh yeah, okay, I know why it doesn't save, that's fine. But I would like to allow deleting, so for the window manager, I should say this to be true. And then just save it like so. I don't need to put a check, and that's going to be a shortcut. That's amazing. And so I'm just going to do the same that I have in the window layout editor view. I have this user settings. Yeah, so let's do something in user settings for this. User settings. So I'm gonna add a quick, no, the window manager layouts. Wait, no. Wait. Window layout editor view. User settings. Oh, I'm creating the entire layouts object. That's fine. That's cool. So I'm just gonna do the same. Here on change of window manager areas, and then I'm simply going to set user settings. Window manager layouts is equal to, oh, I already had it, fine. And then it's going to be window manager areas. Yeah. So that should work. And then here I can get rid of the warning. Yeah. So let's just restart. Good morning from Japan, land of the rising sun. This is, yeah, I mean, I'm 31 years old and I'm still battling with this one. So don't feel bad about yourself. Where are you from? Serbia. Yeah, I already addressed this. I don't want to go over it again. In short, what Apple's built is a little too basic, and I'm gonna build a better version. I don't really understand this one. I'm sorry. I can spend some time translating for a moment. Let's see. Detect language. Good evening. Do you intend to make more videos for YouTube? I will add subtitles in Portuguese. I'll try. I think YouTube does automatic translations though, but I will make more videos, probably one next week. I am still working at Kahoot. I'm just on my paternity leave. Learning coding, any advice to get auth or use API? I find it hard for me to code them. Just practice and reading a lot of documentation. There's no shortcut. Why not use C++? This is native Apple platform development, and some of it uses C. So I can show you, for instance, there is some C code to get like the system information, and it's just some basic system calls, because there is no direct Swift API for this. But when it comes to like object-oriented stuff, they use Swift at this point. Yeah, no longer Objective-C. Positive. How do you motivate yourself to work on side projects alongside your full-time job? I understand that you're passionate, but physically, I'm so tired after my day's work. That's a really good question. So, you know, I really do hope that one day my side projects can sustain my life. And when I have a particularly hard day at work, I remind myself that maybe if I work on my side project instead of watching TV or whatever, one day I will have the opportunity to not work on my day job. So let's try this again. Change the shortcut to, let's say, F. It will change, but if I go here, it will remember. So that part works. And yeah, one more interesting thing is that there is this require modifier. So I will enable that for I will enable that for all window manager areas. And then for the required keyboard binding field, the modifiers are not required, ironically, but I do want to require it for certain ones. So I'm just going to create a new variable here. And so what's the reasoning? For instance, let's take a look. Here, when you are invoking the clipboard history, typically OneMenu doesn't really have any windows of its own open. So it would be weird to be able to invoke the clipboard history by maybe typing just one letter. But the difference is when you do have a window from OneMenu open, such as the clipboard history, then because the focus is already on that window, you don't need to press, I mean, you shouldn't be required to press any modifiers. You should be able to use, like, just press P to paste this plain text. So that's kind of the reasoning. And for some of them, I want to require the modifier, for example, toggle clipboard history. So I'm just going to go here and then go toggle clipboard history, require modifier true, and everything else is going to be false. And I'm going to remove these dividers for now. And I'm going to figure out another way to implement that. But for now, this should actually conclude all of the settings for, yeah, all the settings for all the keyboard shortcuts that I have so far. And yeah, let's see, any more questions? How do you motivate yourself? I already, hello. Have you heard about Tauri? I assume you're referring to that Electron alternative. Am I correct? That's written in Rust or something like that. I did. I just don't have any motivation to learn Rust. Or is it? No, maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check what it is. Yeah, it's the Electron alternative. This is what it is. Yeah, I don't have a good impression of Rust. I understand that it's very safe and very advanced and whatnot. I just don't really feel like having so much power in the meta programming part of the language. I just don't feel like it's easy to go from like project to project. Like that's the one problem that I had with like C++, in that like if you really look at a code base, where's my if you really look at a code base that's been developed for a long while in C++, typically they have so much templating going on, so many custom definitions and everything, that it doesn't really look like any other code base, and it's very hard to switch. The standardization percentage between code bases is like very, very low. And I feel like Rust, yeah, is better than that, but just because of the power they give with the metaprogramming and the macro system, eventually it's going to end up in the same place, and I don't feel like learning it. Let's see. First time in your live stream, didn't know. Yeah, I started yesterday. Self-learner, create projects by myself to become better. Why? To make a portfolio, but I often don't know stuff. What should I do? Ask or chat on Google. Yeah, I prefer ChatGPT at this point, simply because Googling is a horrific experience. By the time you get past all the consent screens and all of the ads and everything, and all of the comments and, you know, useless information, ChatGPT just gives you an example, an explanation, and, you know, next steps. So it's just much easier. I would say that ChatGPT has replaced 99% of my Googling for like code related questions, and not so much like, oh, can you write this function for me, but more like, I mean, I can actually show you. So here's like an example. How do you here's a thing that I asked yesterday. Is there a built-in way in SwiftUI to show a relative date? For example, I have a Unix timestamp in milliseconds. I would like to show something like 2 days ago, right? That kind of thing, I really don't care how it's done. I'm not going to spend time learning. It's just some basic knowledge like from the Swift API that I'm not so passionate about anyway. So I want to know, and the way I'm using it is simply like this one, 3 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago. Like, I wouldn't consider this to be like critical knowledge, but from time to time I like to ask these like really specific questions, and it's easier than Googling. Okay, let's see any other questions. Solve a lead code question to make this fun. Probably I couldn't. I don't think that very fast. I'm not one of those whiteboard ninjas. I missed the video yesterday, so I randomly checked your channel. Yes, I will try to go live every day because I don't really have time to build, not build, but like record day in the life videos. And I really want to focus on coding, so streaming I can do. Which mouse do you use? It's the MX Master 3S. Hello from Mauritius. Congrats on the baby. Thank you. Okay. So now we got that covered. Now there's one thing that I want to make for the Clipboard history, and that is essentially if you have more than 10 items, I'm going to show you now. So Clipboard Clipboard history view. So here you can see that I'm creating this fetch descriptor with a limit of 10 items. Now that's fine. However, I would like that if I have more than 10 and I start going through them, it will sort of load the next 10 and the next 10. So sort of like do like infinite scrolling almost. So let's see how I can do that. Essentially, what I can do is, instead of doing it with a static variable, I can do it with an initializer. So I can do init. Gonna pass the view model, and I'm not gonna pass the items. Instead, I'm going to create a descriptor, and I'm going to say items is build query, and then I'm going to have a private function build query. It's going to return a query. So then I'm going to or maybe just build, I'm just going to do like query with a fetch descriptor, which is going to be build fetch descriptor. So then I'm going to take this fetch descriptor ch item. Okay, so that will work, hopefully. Like so. I will try to figure out, let's see, items, animate, or is there a way to like pass animation? Yes, snappy. So then, when I initialize this, it's going to create a query, but I need a state variable here. So I'm going to do state var fetch limit is 10. So then here I'm gonna do fetch limit. All right. Is it difficult to write scripts? Depends on which language. If you use Bash or Perl, it can be quite difficult. For scripting, I try to use like Node a lot of the time, because my scripts tend to send a lot of like network requests and do kind of like admin tasks in production, like some kind of maintenance or cleanup. And Node is like super convenient with like all the async await stuff. But if you're doing more like system admin, probably Bash, you're gonna have to live with that. Yes, tiring to focus on personal project after a day's work. Maybe, yeah, I mean, I already addressed this question, so I'm not gonna go over it too much. But there is this dynamic where at work, you're kind of like told what to do, whereas on your personal projects, you can choose what you want to work on. And that freedom for me is sometimes motivating. Actually, I do want to do like query here. And I'm just gonna do build query. And I'm gonna do build query. And then here, instead of descriptor, I'm going to return yes. Yeah, so here ch item, I guess. Like so. Generic type too few. What is the other one? Oh man, I'm so tired. I can't deal with this bullshit. Like, I would really love to have better documentation, but it's just not happening. So anyhow, build fetch descriptor, fine for now. And it's gonna be fetch descriptor, and then I'm gonna create another one. Function, just like update query. And it's gonna do this. Yeah. All right, so we have that. What are you complaining about? Cannot assign property to self is immutable. Fix. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. And then here, what I'm going to do is on change of selected item ID, I'm going to register another change. Not like that, but like this. So apart from computing the item actions, which are these guys. So for each item, you can I'm computing the actions that you can take on that item. I am also going to potentially update the fetch limit and update the query. So here I'm gonna do something like this. Update fetch limit and query. And then here, function update fetch limit and query. And what it does is it checks, am I on the last item? So am I on the last item? And if I am, then add like 10 more to fetch limit and then update the query. So if let index is, I'm gonna do this, just copy paste. Actually, I'm just gonna do this whole thing without the return. So if I have the selected item ID and just do this, let index equals first index. So if I have that index and index is equal to items count, in that case fetch limit plus equals 10 and update items query. Cannot use mutating member. Fine. Cannot use self is immutable. What do you mean self is immutable? That's not true. That is just not true. Fetch limit. Let's see. Can I do this? You see, that's bullshit. Because like self is mutable, obviously, or like Swift is like recompiling it in some special way to make it seem like it's mutable, whatever. Ah, man, I'm just really frustrated with this thing. I'm just gonna copy this whole thing. Just gonna copy the whole freaking thing for now. And then I'm gonna copy the whole thing from here. And then I'm gonna copy the whole thing from here. And I'm gonna remove this one. Yeah, whatever. Cannot assign property self. But why? How is it possible that I can, oh, because this is a wrapped property. Let me just Google this. Or maybe ask ChatGPT. Let's write another chat. I'm using SwiftData and I want to update a query. When I click on a button in the view, how can I do that? Yeah, fine, whatever. No. It doesn't know the new API. Whatever. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Chat here. SwiftData update query. How to update insert delete items. Yes, how to do that. I'm interested. Yes, you can do it here. So that it changes the query using a sort descriptor passed in from the parent view. Okay. This is so annoying. Yeah, so the only way to like update the query is to reinitialize the whole thing. Oh man. But I don't have a parent view. This is so annoying. This is beyond annoying. Good evening. Is this really how we're gonna play this? So what they are suggesting is essentially I get the Clipboard history view, which holds all the state, including the fetch limit. And then I have this like inner Clipboard history view that has an initializer that will construct this query and do all of this stuff. And then in the main view, I check the selected item index and do all of that, and then update the fetch limit. And when I do that, the inner view updates and recreates the query. But this is so annoying. Alternatively, you could just pass the items from somewhere else, like make them part of the view model. Yeah, you could do that and do all of your loading manually. Yeah, this is just not gonna work. I'm gonna have to, instead of doing the query, I'm just gonna do private like state. I'm gonna have to do it like that. And then I'm gonna have to pass in the context of the, yeah, I'm gonna have to pass in the model context and do all of my data fetching manually. It's just so annoying. I think I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. I'm pretty happy with what I have now for the keyboard bindings. That part works really well. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to this because, oh my god, it's just so annoying. Yeah, because I'm gonna be ending the stream in like 5 minutes. Do you guys have any final questions? Let me see. Thank you. That deleted a lot of day in life. I already answered that. The company asked me to delete them. Yeah, okay. Do you have some tips on how I can use the chat in a more efficient way when I don't? Okay, proper question for chat to ask for help if it makes sense. Yeah, I think I find that asking for like very, very specific things works much better than like, hey, can you help me build an app? And then it's like, oh yeah, sure, installed Node. And then it goes through like a ton of useless information. That's at least my impression. How do you manage job, personal projects? Yeah, I enjoy the freedom of working on personal projects. It's like a hobby. Like some people play games, some people like to, you know, I don't know, watch TV, watch the latest episode of whatever Dragon series. I like to code. It's just a hobby. Do I practice lead code? No. I think for a lot of the coding that I do, algorithms are not such a big part. Data structures, yes. Algorithms, not so much. And also like, I'm not looking for a job at the moment, so. And I've also spent quite a lot of time interviewing candidates, and lead code or just algorithms on a whiteboard is a very small part of what is the actual requirement. I haven't. I don't even know what it is. I will Google it. A tiling window manager for Mac OS. Seems like a very nice idea. Just give me a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry. I will take a look. I haven't seen this before. Thank you. What programming language should I begin with? I mean, what's the best to learn? Depends on what you want to build. I would suggest trying TypeScript for like general purpose web and UI development. What is your opinion on the job market in Europe for juniors? Man, I don't know. I live in Greece, and I want to work abroad. Kalispera. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I haven't been looking for a job for a long time, and I still do get calls from these recruiters, and they seem to be, what I'm hearing from them is, it is like there is a high demand for seniors, not so much for juniors. And the reason is, in my view at least, that companies see juniors more like an investment. And they will try to save money at this point in the economy, but it will turn around. The economy has turned around many times and will do so once again. And if you're curious when that is going to happen, the easiest indicator to look out for is like just the interest rates. I know I'm getting completely off topic, but like most investments happen in tech and startups when the interest rates are low. And right now they're high, meaning very few new investments are happening. Therefore, companies are trying to save money by not investing into employees, but more like hiring already senior employees, if that makes sense. But I might be wrong. I haven't been looking for a job. Okay. I am a machine learning research scientist and I want to learn building apps. What should I learn? Web dev or Swift? Any recommendations? Yeah, I think it depends. Web development has this problem that it's a little bit like fragmented. So you have quite a lot of different ways of doing things. Whereas Swift, love it or hate it, is at least one thing. So once you learn Swift, you can build, and that's what I really like about it, you can build iOS apps and then transition to building like desktop apps. Whereas that's not necessarily the case with web dev. Like you might learn, I don't know, Java for backend, but that's not gonna allow you to work with, I don't know, front end or whatever. Whereas Swift has a more defined scope. Web dev is like very broad, very fragmented. So that's kind of my opinion. If you want to learn just one thing, try Swift. I'm specifically answering because your question specifically includes the keyword, I want to learn building apps. Now, if you were to ask if I want to build like general purpose, like websites and stuff, I would definitely recommend checking out like React or stuff. I have been rejected about 50 companies so far, even though I've never required relocation support abroad. I think you're spending too much time applying and too little time improving your portfolio or CV. Like if you're getting 10 rejections, I know the job market is tough, but if you're getting 10 rejections, spend some time improving your portfolio and then try applying 10 more times. Good evening, are you still in Norway? Yes, I am. Are you familiar with Angular? Yes, to some small extent. Not really. The last thing I've used in production was like Angular.js. What's the best programming language to learn first? Probably TypeScript. In terms of employability. Which mic are you using? Do you like the sound? This is the Rode, I think it's Video Mic Go 2. Let me just Google it. Go 2. Yes, this is the Rode Video Mic Go 2. And ironically, I have the Shure SM7B with the Scarlett 2i2 interface, which is supposed to sound better and whatnot. But the issue is I found that the Scarlett interface has some kind of a firmware problem that freezes my Mac every now and then, and I had to temporarily switch to this backup microphone. But it seems pretty okay, and I get like direct monitoring, so it's fine. Let's see. Greetings from some people enjoy watching Marco. Yeah, hopefully. Greetings from Colombia. Student computer world. What do you advise me to do to be accepted into a company while I'm a student? Try building a project. Try building at least one small app or like a hobby thing or a website or something, instead of focusing on which classes you took and going that way. How can I work and make money to live with coding? I started with freelancing. I started with freelancing web development for $4 an hour. Yeah, that's true. In this economy, they're not, but the economy is going to turn around. What are the best languages to know for a job in the future? Because I want to be a programmer when I'm older, but I don't know what languages I should start learning. If you want to learn web development, I would go with TypeScript. If you want to learn app development, I would go with Swift. Joined late to the stream as an iOS dev. A small tip on Swift UI views: if you only have one view, such as a VStack, some view, you don't need to add return keyword. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not really programming Swift as much as I'm like fighting it, if that makes sense. But yeah, thanks. I will clean up the code base. What would be good for your portfolio? For my portfolio? That's a difficult question. I think I think if I finished that email client, that would be pretty good, pretty impressive. This is the OneMenu thing is just a little bit off the path that I have. Like, my professional experience is like backend web development. This thing is not going to impress anybody. It's not going to impress an iOS dev, and it's not going to impress a Mac dev, and it's not going to impress a web dev. So if I were to build up my portfolio, I would probably finish up the email client that I started working, because that's much more heavy on the back end. Not so much on the back end, but like web technologies. I love OneMenu. Thanks. Did you see? Yes, I did. It's pretty good. It's like what the OneMenu basic version, the free version, provides. I am working on a better feature set. I am from Serbia. Really the better software development, or is it now everything just a matter of self-preference? macOS is not really that better. macOS is not better. Mac hardware is better. So that's my preference. It's just better. Like, if you just look at the whole package, it's not about one individual component, but like the screen is just better, the battery is better, the CPU takes less battery to do the same things, and also all the little things like the trackpad, the Wi-Fi always connects. Like, I had like Linux laptops before. People think that I'm this like Mac fanboy, but I had like all kinds of machines, and I always had little problems with like charging, or with like the battery dying too quickly, or the Wi-Fi not wanting to connect because of some Linux driver bullshit. And those things frustrated me a lot. I preferred my Linux environment with my i3 window manager, and I used it very heavily for development. It was working great. But hardware-wise, that laptop was always crap. How many languages do you know? I would say I know TypeScript. I know a bit of Java. That's kind of a funny thing to say, because I've been working in Java for a long time now, professionally. But I would say that I know application level. Like, if you look at the stack, like application level logic, I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at like system design, like application level and above, like application system design architecture. I'm pretty good at those. But if you're just talking about like programming languages, and if you ask me, okay, which features does Java whatever version have that the previous version doesn't, I don't know. I Google that stuff. I know a little bit of Swift. I know a little bit of Ruby. I know a little bit of, what else? Swift. Yeah, those are the things. Like Swift, Ruby, TypeScript, and Java. That's enough for me. I'm working right now as a data administrator for almost a year, but during this time, I developed like app for my company. Should I use data administrator or... I don't know. List both projects, but... From this experience, you should know which job you enjoy better. Do you enjoy being a data administrator better, or developing apps? If you want to develop apps in the future, put emphasis on the front end. But if you enjoy data administration, don't mention the front end stuff so much. I really like programming, but when I look at the code, I don't understand it unless it's very basic Python. That's fine. Just practice. It's fine. You don't have to understand. I look at this code and I'm like, what is this? I established a job with solid future, but just got offer with 2 times the salary. Would you stay and rise in one organization? Stay and rise is a myth in most cases. Statistically, people who change jobs more frequently are paid better. So the optimal they found is like between 2 and 2.5 years in the same company, and then you move on for higher salary. Yeah, that's what they statistically found optimizes your compensation. Hoćeš li snimiti neki video na srpskom? Maybe. Are you gonna film a video in Serbian? Maybe. The thing is, Serbia is a very small market on YouTube, and programming in general is not a very big market either. So like if I'm going to take a subset of a subset of a subset, I'm gonna have like 7 views. How much time you spend between work and building side projects? I'm already working 50 hours for my job and it's hard to find. Yeah, like I spend an hour a day on my side projects. A lot of questions, but I really like this type of work and trying to understand it for future. Yeah, I'm a student computer summer, but unsure how to make the yeah. Googling, asking ChatGPT. Do you want to be a software engineer or a computer scientist? Difficult question. Most computer scientists end up working as software engineers anyway. If you're like looking for a computer scientist position, then it's mostly going to be academic. Getting from a Greek developer based in the Netherlands inspired me a lot to those past years. Well, thanks for saying that. What can I say in Greek that I haven't said already? Let me think about this. Is it like lokumades? It's like donuts? Have you used Golang? And if so, what is your opinion? I have played around with Golang. I think it's pretty cool. But I haven't had the time to really spend with it. Yeah. I never tried Fleet. VS Code seems fine. How's your Norwegian proficiency? Not really great. I mean, I know how to say basic things like veldig bra, but it's not like something that I use every day at work. Yes, kumades. What is your opinion about the future of programmers? I mean, can AI replace them? I don't know, man. Like, look at it this way. I'm gonna do the Primogen thing here. I'm gonna draw a graph. Okay, just stay with me here. So AI versus developers. So think about it this way. This is the timeline, and on the horizontal axis, this is time. And then on the vertical axis is like AI intelligence, right? So how intelligent is it? And so at some point we are going to reach, I assume at some point there is going to be like super intelligence. That is like, once we get there, like all bets are off. Like, you know, we're talking about, you know, you ask it like, hey, can you solve cancer, and it solves it, right? That's super intelligence. And at that point, like, we don't really know what's going to happen, but we are not very close to that. Where we are is somewhere on a curve. So this curve looks something like this, and so the way it works, in my opinion, is there is going to be somewhere along this curve we're going to find a place where AI is going to be able to replace developers. I'm not going to place it at super intelligence. It's going to be before that. And yeah, you know, once that happens, like maybe it's not going to be able to solve cancer in a single prompt, but it's going to be able to do things that software developers can do. However, I think that in order for that to happen, there's going to be a lot of things that it will have to do really, really well. And without going into details, I don't believe we are very close. I tried so hard to make what we have currently in ChatGPT to do this work for me, some of the boring work in Swift, because I really don't care and it's like struggling. Anyhow, that's not the main point I want to make. The main point I want to make is look at my ChatGPT history. Like, look how many questions I asked about coding. Just look at this. April, March, February, center image in ZStack, like all of these questions. How many questions do you think non-coders have asked and successfully gotten answers out of ChatGPT? How many questions? Do you think maybe 5? Maybe 10? It's very little. And that's because you still need some basic level of engineering thinking to even ask the right question. And so I'm going to draw a level of proficiency in, I'm going to do it like this. So there is going to be a level of proficiency that is required to use AI. And it's going to be an inverse curve. So if you have all the proficiency in the world, let's say you are a senior developer, you don't need AI to do anything. So you live here and you can make all the apps. You don't ever have to use AI. Now, if you don't have any proficiency, you're going to be here because then you're going to have to wait for AI to completely replace developers. However, by the time that happens, my theory is that developers with a little bit of proficiency are going to accumulate so much value from AI in this area here that for people who don't have proficiency with development or any other engineering discipline, by the time we get here, they're going to be so far behind. Because right now, because I have a little bit of proficiency, I'm not going to say like I'm this expert, but I have a little bit of proficiency. Right now, I'm getting so much out of it. Whereas people that I know personally, who are like product managers, designers, people who could in theory build products on their own, only if they had a little bit of engineering knowledge, they are getting exactly 0 value. And that's the problem. Like, people think, AI is going to replace developers and that's going to be the end. But the long road in between today and when that happens is going to actually favor developers much more than anybody else when it comes to building software. So there is a very interesting dynamic, and I believe we should be taking advantage of that instead of constantly worrying what's going to happen when we get here. Because when we get here, think about it, if AI can replace engineers, it will be after it's able to replace lawyers, accountants, all of those other people. And by that time, we are already going to have a chaos in the economy. So thinking about what's going to happen to your job is a little bit useless. Okay, sorry for the long answer. Yeah, I've been programming at a completely different major. Is it too hard? No, I don't believe. I've been programming since I was a kid. And if I hadn't been doing that, I don't think university would have helped me much. Graduation, work on hardware. Odesk, Upwork. This is the platform you can use. Yeah, working in hardware is a bit of a small playground, that's true. Hey, greetings from Rwanda. Much like you, I'm a backend developer with almost 3 years about work experience. No advice really. I haven't tried getting into DevOps myself. How old were you when you started programming? It was elementary school. I was probably like 12. Take you to learn enough to start writing code, and I started getting some small freelancing jobs back, I think when I was 18, 19. Yeah, I think just make one good project. Don't try and focus on making too many. So just try and make just make one really good one. You know, if you're a backend developer with like scaling and, you know, everything like DevOps side fixed and working and deployments and things, just make a nice backend project. You don't need too many. You can just focus on your lead code clone. Really can't do anything. It's true. It's very hard to get anything out of that. Thank you. I'm studying software. Do you think that a full stack job will still be in demand? Yes, for sure. Can't you use ChatGPT to gain proficiency as in a feedback loop? Yes, you can. But it still requires work. Like when people say, you know, it's like learning coding. Like at that point, you might as well just learn coding. I'm not sure what happened to that video. I will take a look. I'll just make, so what I'm planning to do, I'll just make a better version. It is not that hard to find a job. Depends on a country to country, but if you have some qualifications, it's not that difficult. Yeah, however, I know a bit of coding. You know, most people don't. Like if you already know a bit of coding, then you can structure your questions. Maybe you don't know how to code like super well, you know, a bit. I'm just using your example. But even knowing a bit helps you structure questions correctly. Yeah, there are some features of OneMenu that would be a good fit for Windows. I will try making it. Hello. Yep. Lots of love from Canada. Thank you. When you'll publish a clip on YouTube, I will not be publishing any more day in the life videos, specifically not from the company office. But I will try to make a day in the life or like a YouTube video in general next week. Well, thank you. I don't think I have much more time. It's already midnight here and I kind of have to go and sleep. But thanks everybody who joined, and I hope you enjoyed this really bad coding session. I will fix this data fetching, and in the next stream we can just go over the the solution and just move on. So thank you. No, just list of features of one would be good for Windows. I'll work on it with you. Yeah, I'll be talking about what other features I'm planning to add to OneMenu in one of the future streams. So thank you. All right, thanks everybody. Thank you for joining. I really enjoyed chatting with you. So see you. I'll try to stream every day. I'll try to do it for a few days at least. So thank you. Bye.